Welcome to the ceremony to confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Media and Governance, honoris causa, upon President Ursula von der Leyen. Now I am glad to introduce the representatives of Keio University and guest of honor. When your name is called, please kindly come onto the stage. Professor Kohei Ito, President of Keio University. Professor Yoshimitsu Matsuura, Vice President for Academic Affairs, Keio University. Professor Kazunori Takashio, Dean of the Graduate School of Media and Governance, Keio University. And lastly, today's guest of honor, President Ursula von der Leyen. We shall now hold the ceremony to confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Media and Governance, honoris causa, upon President Ursula von der Leyen. Since this conferment is proposed by the Graduate School of Media and Governance, Dean Takashio will read out the citation. Professor Takashio, please make your way to the podium.
Okay. So Ursula von der Leyen is the political leader from Germany and the current president of the European Commission. Since assuming her position at the European Commission in 2019, the President von der Leyen has played a leading role in representing Europe through a period of the intense international upheaval. So including the response to the COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine beginning in February 2022. So President von der Leyen studied in both Germany and the United Kingdom before earning a medical degree from the Hanover Medical School in Germany. So beginning her career as a physician. After earning the Doctor of Medicine, she worked in research at Stanford University in the United States. She then returned to Germany to resume the working at Hanover Medical School while also earning the master's degrees in the public health. So in the 1990s, she joined the Christian Democratic Union, the CDU, the one of the Germany major political parties, and became active in Lower Saxony. In 2003, she became the State Cabinet Minister for Social Affairs, Women, the Family Affairs and Health in the Lower Saxony. So drawing on her expertise in medical science and public health. Then, in 2005, the President von der Leyen served as the Federal Minister for the Family Affairs, the Senior Citizen, the Women and Youth, under the Chancellor Angela Merkel's first cabinet, and as the Federal Minister for the Labor and Social Affairs and the second Merkel's cabinet. Later, so she was appointed as the Federal Minister of the Defense under the third and fourth Merkel's cabinet, holding the position for the total of 5 years and 7 months. So this marked the first time a woman was appointed as the Federal Minister of the Defense in Germany. So during her tenure in the 3 ministerial roles, the President von der Leyen sparked a debate with her policies on expanding the daycare facilities and implementing the internet regulations and modernizing the equipment of the German armed forces. But these policies demonstrate her record of favoring proactive policies rather than taking the path of the least resistance. So she was elected President of the European Commission in 2019. The European Commission is the policy executive body of the European Union. So Dr. von der Leyen, as its president, serves in the position equivalent to the prime minister in the individual member states. The European Union is the full member of the G7. So meaning that the president of the European Commission is an attendee at G7 summit. So President von der Leyen has become, in effect, the face of the European Union. So she is the 13th president of the European Commission and the first woman to serve in this position. So beginning her second term in office at the December 2024, so she has exhibited the outstanding leadership in fostering unity among the member states of the European Union, so which is prone to fragmentation. And President von der Leyen's career demonstrates her role as a true trailblazer, having paved the way for the others by becoming the first woman to serve the German Minister of the Defense and as the President of the European Commission. So in these roles, her expertise in the medicine and the public health, so particularly in the responding to the COVID-19 pandemic, has proven invaluable and stands as a testament to the power of academic scholarships. So since 2022, she has drawn on her experiences as the German Minister of the Defense to lead the EU's support for Ukraine and introduce the new initiative aimed at strengthening the EU's defense capabilities amid an increasingly challenging security landscape. So whether through the facilitating the European Green Deal, responding to the global pandemic, or the addressing the security threat, the President von der Leyen has demonstrated true policy innovation by introducing the new tools that were previously unseen in the EU. So her achievement and leadership, the capabilities in the complementary international politics make her a role model for the Keio students. As a top leading European political leader, the President von der Leyen possesses outstanding insight and has made the significant contributions not only to the stability of the relation between Europe and Japan, but also to the international community as a whole. So as a graduate school dedicated to the study and research of the policy, the Graduate School of the Media and Governance places utmost values upon the President von der Leyen's contributions. So we consider it our great privilege to confer upon her an honorary doctorate. So following the deliberation by the Graduate School of the Media and Governance, we hereby strongly recommend her for this distinction. So Kazunori Takashio, Dean Graduate School of the Media and Governance, Keio University. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Takashio. Now we shall proceed to the conferral of the diploma. Professor Kohei Ito, President of Keio University, will confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Media and Governance, honoris causa, upon President Ursula von der Leyen.
In recognition of her contribution to deepening European integration and in the face of increasingly unstable international situation, her consistent advocacy for the importance of democracy, helping to establish and sustain peaceful lives not only across Europe but around the world, her expertise in medicine and public health, providing vital support to people gripped by fear during the COVID-19 pandemic, and her demonstrated exemplary leadership, rendering her a role model for the next generation, hereby confers on the recommendation of the Graduate School of Media and Governance upon Ursula von der Leyen the degree of Doctor of Media and Governance, honoris causa, and grants all the honors, rights, and privileges appertaining thereto, given at Tokyo, Japan on the 23rd day of July, 2025. Kohei Ito, President of Keio University.
Thank you, President Ito. So President Ito will offer his congratulatory address.
Your Excellency, President von der Leyen, distinguished guests and colleagues, welcome. It is our profound honor and privilege for Keio University to confer an honorary doctoral degree upon President Ursula von der Leyen here today at the Mita Public Speaking Hall. This historic site was erected 150 years ago by Yukichi Fukuzawa, the founder of Keio University, and is now designated as an important cultural property of Japan. At the time of its construction, Japan lacked the tradition of public speaking. Knowledge and ideas were communicated solely through documents and books. Fukuzawa, however, was the first in Japan to advocate that a democratic nation necessitates a parliament, that a parliament must be grounded in debate, and that effective debate depends upon one's ability to articulate views through speeches and dialogue. Following its completion, this hall became a vital venue for the mock parliaments modeled on the British system, as well as for public speaking gathering. It played a pivotal role in supporting the freedom and people's rights movement, which placed citizens at the heart of national governance. Unsurprisingly, many who honed their skills here were chosen in Japan's first general election for the House of Representatives in 1890, an enduring testament to the hall's foundational role in the democratization of modern Japan and in establishing democratic parliamentary institutions. Today, the global landscape has changed dramatically. The very notion of democracy is under constant scrutiny and debate. Yet, I firmly believe that European Parliament represents one of the most exemplary model of democratic parliamentary governance in our time. I vividly recall the admiration and hope I felt when the European Union was formally established in 1993. The scale and the unity were beyond anything I had imagined, akin to creating something like another United States of America. I extend my deepest respect to the presidents and commissioners who have continuously shaped and renewed the EU since its founding. Today, thanks to the effort of His Excellency Jean-Éric Paquet, Ambassador of EU to Japan, and his staff, we have many opportunities to interact with delegations from the European Union. Each occasion has been a valuable platform for mutual learning and exchange. In every such encounter, I have heard one consistent sentiment: admiration for President von der Leyen's unwavering dedication and exceptional leadership. In these times of geopolitical uncertainty and growing division, ideals of solidarity and unity upheld by the European Union must be reaffirmed and championed. President von der Leyen's tireless work in advancing those ideals, whether in her resolute support for Ukraine, her deft handling of complex trade negotiations, or her unwavering commitment to a strong, integrated Europe, has earned her deep respect and trust across the international community, including here in Japan. It is therefore with the greatest recognition of her achievements and gratitude that in this historic Mita Public Speaking Hall, we bestow upon President Ursula von der Leyen an honorary doctorate. In doing so, we honor her as a global leader of democratic values, multilateral cooperation, and peaceful progress for all humanity. President Ursula von der Leyen, thank you, and welcome to Keio alumni community. Thank you so much.
So, thank you very much, President Ito. We shall now have the privilege to receive a responding address from President von der Leyen.
Dear President Ito, dear Vice President Matsuura, dear Dean Takashio, Vice Presidents, faculty and staff, dear students, ambassadors, excellencies, it is a great honor to receive this honorary doctorate from Keio University. Looking at the list of previous recipients of this accolade, from Delors to Adenauer, Sakharov to Nehru, makes this the more special. And it also reflects the status and the convening power of Keio, the oldest academic institution in the country. This is not only a storied university, but a global one in nature. Your founder, Fukuzawa Yukushi, served on Japan's first diplomatic missions to Europe and the United States. He created this university as a bridge between East and West, as a way to spread both language and knowledge. And this has remained part of this university's great mission and great tradition to this very day. But I start with the story of Fukuzawa Yukushi, not only because he is the founder of this great institution or one of the thinkers and architects that shaped Japan over the last centuries, but also because of what his story and his writings can tell us about the world in which today's students will graduate in. Cutting through all his work, whether on civilization, education, or political systems, is a core theme which was central to his thinking: the pursuit of independence, both personal and national. He believed that this freedom, this independence, was the foundation of any modern society, the making of a resilient and strong nation and continent. And as you know, this was one of the central ideas in one of his most important works called An Outline of a Theory of Civilization. In just a month, we will mark the 150th anniversary of that book being published. And like all anniversaries, this presents us with an opportunity to reflect on the similarities between those two periods. The late 19th century saw a spark of regional conflicts and the start of the new era of imperialism, wars and spheres of influence, which would lead the world to the brink only a few decades later. But this was also the start of a huge transformation in society in some parts of the world. The beginnings of the Industrial Revolution saw everything from manufacturing to transport and communication change the way society worked. New innovations, new technologies that would shape and change the course of humanity. The point I'm making is that the parallels with today are clear to see, from the return of spheres of influence to the rise in humanity-defining technologies, from the threats which are as acute as 150 years ago to the opportunities that are as plentiful. So the question in front of us, and in particular in front of these students in these lecture theaters, is how do we navigate this moment in history? As I look around the unstable world around us, I believe that for Europe as for Japan, the answer lies in the work of Fukuzawa Yukushi, and that is the pursuit of freedom and independence. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, freedom and independence. I know for some these are words that belong to previous generations, but I use these words advisedly. Because the starting point here is to face the world as it is, not as we may remember it from generations past. We need to be clear-eyed about the challenges we are facing at this moment in history. I am of the view that the period we are in now and the way we handle it will define the rest of this century. And that means that we simply cannot accept to be shaken around by the seismic change that we are facing, or yet again fall for the fallacy that the storm will pass, that things will go back to before, if only a war in one region ends, or a tariff deal is struck, or an election goes one way or the other next time. Because the geopolitical cross-currents are simply too strong. And the very foundations of our security and prosperity are simply too shaky. This is why I believe that it is time to build a new form of freedom and independence for the 21st century. One that focuses on taking care of our own defense and security. One that focuses on creating a new economic and industrial model on which our prosperity can build on. One that focuses on protecting our democracies and the values on which our freedom rely on. And on each of those points, security, prosperity, democracy, Europe is stepping up. In the last weeks and months, we have made proposals to invest in our own defense at levels which would have been unthinkable even a year or two ago. We have put forward a plan with investment to match, to put industry and innovation, technology and science at the heart of our economy. And we are working every day to protect our democracy from the growing threats it faces, whether from the rise of illiberalism at home or the targeted efforts to destabilize us coming from our adversaries. But I want to be clear about what independence is and what it means for Europe and our partnerships with our close friends like Japan. At its core, independence is about having the freedom and the ability to choose your own future, about cutting our dependencies and shoring up our vulnerabilities. And I want to dispel the myth that independence is an inward-looking strategy, or that it is a retreat within our borders. In fact, the opposite is true. And our relationship and partnership is a case in point. We may be in different regions with our own challenges, but the threats we face are many and are shared. Both Europe and Japan see a world around us where protectionism instincts grow, weaknesses get weaponized, and every dependency exploited. So it is normal that two like-minded partners come together to make each other stronger, not only to build our own independence, but to strengthen each other's. In fact, in the face of unfair competition, for instance, we are collaborating on economic security to make our supply chains more resilient, so that we are never short of critical materials. We are creating together an alliance of competitiveness, and to diversify our suppliers so that no single actor can force our hand. We are investing in each other's security so that deterrence is credible and stability endures. And we are coordinating on initiatives like clean tech and digital innovation so that the future will be built by partners who share our values and our interests. The point is that we must resist this instinct to turn inwards when the future is uncertain. We must resist to keep our walls up and our minds closed. This is the wrong choice. But working with others is a sign of strength. It is how we build our own independence. On trade, for instance, we are of course working to reset our trading partnership with the United States on a stronger footing, but we also know that 87% of global trade is with other countries, many of them looking for stability and opportunity. And that is why I'm here for this visit to Japan, to deepen our ties. And that is why we have countries from around the world coming to us to do business, from India to Indonesia, South America to South Korea, Canada to New Zealand, and the list goes on. The point is that we are all trying to forge our own strength and our independence, but it is only by working together that we can make strength and independence happen. Excellencies, dear students, this brings me to the prestigious institutions we are in here, and even more importantly, to the students who come through these doors. And if there is one message I want to leave with you today, it is one that the founder of this institution set out all those years ago. And that is that your responsibility extends far beyond this own doorstep. Let me give you an example. 30 years ago, I went back to school to earn a master in public health. As a medical doctor, I was trained to focus on the individual in front of me, their symptoms, their treatments, their needs. But public health asked me to zoom out, to see not just the patient, but the broader patterns, to move from how can I help this person to how can I help anyone? I still remember one of the first lessons I learned. Your health depends on mine, and my health depends on yours. At that time, I understood it in theory. I had no idea that 3 decades later, that lesson would become real, urgent, and personal. I had no idea that I would be standing here in front of you today receiving this award because of how Europe came together to overcome a global pandemic. When the pandemic hit Europe, millions of Europeans rolled up their sleeves to help a neighbor. Europeans protected their communities, and so too did Europe. In the first 2 years of the pandemic, we delivered 1 billion vaccine doses to Europeans. In the same period, we shipped 1.4 billion doses from Europe to 150 other countries. We became the biggest donor of COVID-19 vaccines to the world. At the time, many derided this approach. But this was our responsibility. And so my final message is to all the students from Keio University. At a university like this one, surrounded by people from every corner of the world, you already understand that your actions reach far beyond your inner circle, that your research on climate change, for example, may protect coastal towns you will never visit, that a biomedical discovery can affect patients a continent away. That's what it means to be part of a global community. Because when you take responsibility for others, others will take responsibility for you. That is the story of Europe and Japan. It is the story that Fukuzawa Yukushi left to the world. And it is the story that each and every student in this university should take with them as they move into the next chapter of their lives. So thank you very much for that honor. Long live Keio University. Long live the European-Japan partnership and friendship. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your insightful, inspiring, encouraging speech, President von der Leyen. So this concludes the ceremony to confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Media and Governance honoris causa upon President von der Leyen. Now, President von der Leyen will proceed out of the hall. Would you please stand up and so...